Okay, we are continuing with the essential elements of a valid contract. We have already talked about the fact that there should be agreement. Then we also have talked about the fact that there should be intention to create legal relation. We also talk about the fact that the parties must provide consideration. We also talk about the fact that if the law says that the contract should take a certain form, the parties must comply with that form. Now let's continue. Both parties must have contractual capacity. That is the fifth point. Both parties must have contractual capacity. So the question is, what is capacity? Now, contractual means a contract. So capacity. So the most important here is having capacity to enter into contract. So what is capacity? Now, when we talk about capacity, we are looking at the ability, capacity, ability of the contracting parties to enter into contract. The parties involved, do they have ability to enter into contract? Do they have capacity to enter into contract? So if you have ability to enter into contract, then it means you have contractual capacity. If you don't have ability to enter into contract, it means you do not have contractual capacity. So who determines who has contractual capacity? It is the law that determines who has contractual capacity. So if you want to enter into contract with somebody, for the contract to be valid, find out whether the person you are entering into a contract with has the ability to enter into contract or has the capacity to enter into contract. So what is it? Now, who are those who have contractual capacity? And who are those who do not have contractual capacity? That's what we are going to look at. Now, in Ghana, if you are a major, then you have contractual capacity. If you are a minor, you do not have contractual capacity. So who is a minor? In Ghana, if you are below 18 years, you are considered as a minor. So a major would then be 18 and above, and a minor below 18. So it means that if you are a minor, you have what I call limited contractual capacity. Others will say that minors do not have contractual capacity. That's not how I put it. Because there is a limit as to a contract that they can enter. They can enter into certain contract. They can enter into certain contract. It is not all contracts that minors cannot enter into. If you are a minor, there are certain contracts the law allows you to enter into. So that is why I said that minors have limited contractual capacity. That's why I didn't say minors do not have contractual capacity. I said they have limited contractual capacity. Others refer to the minors as infants. You know? So when you talk about infants in law, they are referring to minors. And when you say you are a minor, it means you are below 18 in Ghana. In other jurisdictions, it may be 21. So you may be reading some foreign books, and if they say that it's 21, that is their country, if it is 21. So, but I'm talking about where we are. In Ghana, if you are under 18, then you are a minor and you have limited contractual capacity. Now, if a minor has limited contractual capacity, then what are the contracts that a minor can enter into? Remember, we are talking about the essential elements of a valid contract, and we said that both parties must have contractual capacity. And he said to say that you should have contractual capacity, it means you should have the ability to enter into contract. And if you say you have ability to enter into contract, it means you are a major, you are not a minor. And if you are a minor, it means you are below 18. And so we have known that minors do not have contractual capacity. No, they do not. They have limited contractual capacity. So what are the contracts they can enter into? The type of contract they can enter into are called contracts of necessaries. Contracts of necessary. Get closer. Contracts of necessary. Have you zoomed it? So contracts of necessary. Now, when you say contracts of necessary, what are they? When contracts of necessary? Now, you see, there are certain things that are suitable. They are suitable. So, I've written here suitable to the minus condition in life. They are suitable to the minus condition in life. So necessaries are goods or services that are suitable. So that instead of saying that are necessary, I'm saying that are suitable, because it is usually not good using a word to explain the word. So instead of saying that are necessary, I said that are suitable to the minus condition in life, and are to his or her actual requirement. So I also underline actual requirement at the time of the contract. So that is what necessaries are. A necessary can be a good or a service that is suitable to the minor, to his or her conditions in respect of life, and then at the right requirements at the time the person was entering into the contract. And the examples include, so what are those necessary? Number one, food. 2, shelter, accommodation. So the necessities of life, clothing. So food, shelter, clothing, education. You know, when you are educated, you have the skills, and that will help you in future. So education will enable you to acquire skills that will help you in future. So if you buy educational materials like books, don't say that, oh, I have learned that I'm a minor and I don't have contractual capacity. So if you enter into a contract with me, then if I don't pay, the court will not do anything. That is a lie. You have limited contractual capacity. So there are some contracts you can enter into. So you cannot go and buy a book and say because you are a minor, you say, oh, please, will you lend me this book? I'll come and pay. Then later you say that I will not pay. Then the person, you say, oh, you cannot take me to court because I'm a minor. That is not it. It is a necessary. It is a necessary. The law says books or educational materials, they are all necessary. So you would have to pay for them. So pens, calculators, and all those, you can enter, even if you are a minor, if you are below 18, you can enter into such contract. So food, clothing, shelter, education. Then under education, I said books, pens, calculators, etc. Then training and skills that will help the infant or minor in future. So apprenticeship and other things that will help you in future, you have to pay for them. So that is for that one. Now we are going to look at a case that will show us that minors have limited contractual capacity, and that if the item is a necessary, the minor will not be held liable to pay. And that is Nash versus Inman. Nash, are you getting closer? Versus Inman. In 1908, Nash versus Inman. Now you know who the plaintiff is. And you know who the defendant is. Because we have learned that the first name, that is the plaintiff, and this is the defendant. Now, the plaintiff was a tailor. And so Nash was a tailor. And the defendant was a minor undergraduate. When you say somebody is undergraduate, if you go to university and you have not graduated, you are called undergrad. So when you hear undergrad, it means the person is in his or her first year, second year, third year, or fourth year. The person has not completed. When you complete, you become a graduate. So Iman was a minor undergraduate at Trinity College in Cambridge. This boy's father had money. So the tailor heard that, hey, there is a boy in their school who had money and he was spending the money freely. So the tailor sent his agent to the school. Very soon we will know who an agent is. When we finish the law of contract, we shall move to law of agency. And you know who an agent is. An agent represents his principal. So the tailor becomes the principal and he sends somebody to go and negotiate with the boy as if he himself had done it. So the agent went and had discussion with the boy. After the discussion, the boy agreed to buy some clothes from the tailor, but on credit. So the tailor supplied the clothes to the boy, and that was in 1902. They started in October. So he started giving the boy some clothes in October 1902 up till June 1903. So October, November, December, January, February, March, April, May, June. 8 months he supplied different articles of clothing that amounted to about 145 pounds. And these articles of clothes included 11 waistcoats. When the time came and the defendant was supposed to pay, he said he wouldn't pay, he would not pay. And that is why the tailor, the plaintiff, took legal action against him. So now the case is in court. What is going to happen? Now let's look at it. It is very important we note the items involved, and that is clothing. And remember, let's look at here. When we were talking about the necessaries, we look at clothing as one, and that is what is involved. So the subject matter involved is clothing. So you will say that the boy has ability, capacity to enter into contract to buy clothing. The obvious answer is yes, because it is clothing. Is that not it? Yes. But let's look at it. If you look at the definition. Look at the definition. We said necessaries are goods or services. So here, services that are suitable to the minor's condition in life. So the clothing suitable to the minor's condition and are to his or her actual requirement. Take note of his or her actual requirement at the time of the contract. Actual requirement at the time of contract. So now, the clothing, for the period of 8 months, you have supplied this boy with different articles of clothing, including 11 waistcoats, and it amounted to about 145 pounds. So the court said, okay, fine. The item that was clothing is necessary, so a minor can enter into that contract. But they look at the amount involved. Even the 11 waistcoats amounted to luxury. Remember, it has moved from necessary to luxury. Because of the amount of money involved, they look at even the 11 waistcoats and say, the 11 waistcoats has now moved from, if it were 1, 2, 5, but now 11. If you add everything together, it has now moved from necessary to luxury. So if it is now luxury, then it means the boy was not supposed to pay. Now you know in court it's about argument though. The defendant lawyers, the plaintiff lawyers. Now the defendant, the plaintiff lawyers came and said that, yes, ordinarily, the 11 waistcoats have amounted to luxury. But let's tell you something, Judge. This boy father is a rich man who can afford these clothes. They look at it and say, yes, it is true. The father is rich. The father has money. The father is the type that can buy such clothes for the child. So if that is the case, then it means that the boy would still have to pay. If it were a poor man's son, then he wouldn't have paid. That means the socio-economic background of your parent is also very important. So now, if with that argument, it means the boy was supposed to pay because the father can pay for. Then now, the father now comes in, and that is what killed the matter. The father said, yes, as at the time this tailor was supplying my child with the clothes, I have amply supplied my child with clothes. So my child did not need those clothes because I have adequately supplied my child with clothes, and that at the time that the tailor was entering into a contract with my child, it was not to his actual requirement because he had enough clothes and he didn't need any clothes at that time. They look at it and they realize, yes, it was true that the father had amply, sufficiently supplied his son with clothes and that the son did not need clothes. And that the case ended. So it was held that the boy should not pay for the clothes, and he did not pay for the clothes. So that is Nash versus Imam, what happened. I hope you have understood that. Now, all the cases, you can go to YouTube, you can search, get dramatized part of it. They have made a drama of them. So you can search for and then watch over and over again. They are very simple. Remember, I have told you that cases are not hypothetical examples. They are real. So if you say 1988, it happened in 1980. And these are real people who have ever lived under the sun. And this thing happened. It happened. And this case is supporting the principle that we have learned. What we have learned here, this case is supporting. Just as Backward was talking about intention to create legal revelation, this one is talking about necessary. So that is for that one. Now, so we are still on both parties must have contractual capacity. And we have known that, number one, miners have limited contractual capacity. So who are other group of people who do not have contractual capacity? It means these people that we are going to mention, if you enter into a contract with them, the contract will be invalid. So be very careful not to enter into contract with such people. Number one, lunatics. Lunatics, people who are insane. Abodamful, people who are insane. If you enter into a contract with a lunatic, somebody who is insane, the person has a house, then you went to the person, you want to buy the house, the person sold to you, that is invalid. So that is false. A lunatic does not have contractual capacity. Number two, aliens, foreigners during war. When there is a war between your country and another country, then you become enemies. So that alien doesn't have contractual capacity, and therefore you cannot enter into a contract with a person in terms of war. So that is another one. Then another one is drunkard. If somebody was drunk and the person didn't even know what was around him, the person saw a very small gutter and it had become a very big one, and then you enter into a contract with the person to buy something from the person. If the next day the person becomes normal, and then that didn't even, when we were in school, there was even one guy, anytime he became drunk, he would give his everything, money, whatever, and the next day he wouldn't even remember those that he gave the money to. So if somebody was drunk and you entered into a contract with a person, it is as if you have not entered into a contract. So the implication is that if the person sold something to you and legal action is taken against you, you'll be asked to return that particular property to the person and you take your money. So take note of that. But the drunkard should be able to prove that he did not know what was happening. Another one is ambassadors or other people or other diplomats. They have what we call diplomatic immunity. And such people, you cannot sue them. So if he has diplomatic immunity and that he's protected by law, you cannot sue him. Then you don't have to enter into a contract with that person. So ambassadors or other diplomats who have diplomatic immunity, you are not supposed to enter into contract with them. So take note of that one. Except, so look at it. Except, where is the except? So I said, that is, they cannot, when you say you have diplomatic immunity, it means they cannot be sued, except they enter into commercial contract outside their official function. Then that one, if it is outside his official function, then he can be sued. So be very careful when you are dealing with such people. Then another group of people who do not have contractual capacity are people who enter into contract under duress. I've explained to what is meant by duress. People who enter into contract under undue influence. I've explained to what is meant by undue influence in our previous video. And then so when somebody enters into a contract under duress and then under undue influence, then it means the person did not have contractual capacity, and therefore the contract here it will not be void, it will be voidable. So the person can rescind. Some of these things will make the contract void. Others will make it voidable. When it is voidable, it means it is valid, but you have the option to rescind. So that is for that one. So that is for contractual capacity. You see, we have talked a lot about contractual capacity. Note that we have talked about the meaning of capacity. We have talked about people who do not have contractual capacity. We have talked about necessaries and so on and so forth. Now let's move to our next one, which is legality. And I've already explained that one to you. So we said the contract must not be, it must not be for illegal purpose. It must not be for illegal purpose. So if the contract is for illegal purpose, then there's no contract. Now you have entered into a contract with somebody to bring human head or human part. That is illegal. So don't let me say you have entered into contract, because it is not a contract. So it is even a mistake for me to say that you have entered into a contract. But you have entered into an agreement, because some agreements are contract, others are not. So if you have entered into an agreement with somebody, you are supposed to pay the person 50,000 Ghana cedis. The person will supply you human head, or any of the human parts. It is illegal. So when the subject matter, it is for illegal purpose, then it means that you cannot enter into that contract. Then we also say that it should, the same thing, it should not contain items which are contrary to public policy. So if there is a policy, you know what policy are, or what a policy is, or what policies are. So if the contract you have entered into goes contrary to anything that is related to public policy that has been enacted, then it means that there will not be any contract. For example, you have entered into a contract, you are an employer, you have entered into a contract with an employee so that you can avoid payment of tax. If that happens, that is illegal. That is illegal, and legal action can be taken against you, and there will not be any contract. Remember, what we are learning is law of contract. There are different types of laws. We have what we call criminal law. When it is a criminal law, look at this one. The law of contract, we said nas versus imam, person versus person, bafo versus bafo, person versus person. But if it is criminal, you hear nas versus the state. That one, you and the state. The state versus Nash. That if it is criminal. If it is criminal, it is not about you and the person. For example, you know it is criminal offense to rape somebody. So if you rape somebody, it is not about the person. They will say, even if the person, the family, they say, oh, you, we have withdrawn the case. The case will never be withdrawn. The case will never, because it is criminal and it is between you and the state. So we are not looking at criminal law. We are looking at law of contract. So take note of that. So the head that I was talking about, that is criminal, and criminal actions will be taken against you. That will not be law of contract. So let's take note of that. Now, the last but one is that there must be, or the contract must be capable of being performed. I've already explained to you. It is never possible for somebody to swim across the Atlantic Ocean. It is never possible for you to carry your science block. It is never possible for somebody whose both hands have been amputated. You don't have hands. Then you enter into a contract with a person to personally take 6 feet hole. It is not possible because the person doesn't have what it takes to do it. So certain things, they are void. They are not even contract. So that is that. The last one for the day is that there must be genuineness of consent. That's the last one for the day, and it is very simple. We have done mistake. You know what mistakes are, even though we do that in details. We have done misrepresentation. You know what they are. Duress and influence. When we say that there must be genuineness of consent, that means that the agreement must be free from duress, free from undue influence, free from misrepresentation. In other words, if there is duress, undue influence, misrepresentation, it means that there is no genuineness of consent. There is no genuineness of consent. And if there is no genuineness of consent, then the contract cannot be valid. So genuineness of consent means that the agreement must be free from duress, it must be free from undue influence, it must be free from misrepresentation. So that is that. Ladies and gentlemen, these are the essential elements of a valid contract. So now the question here, state and explain any 4 essential elements of a valid contract. Question 2. What are necessaries? Give 3 examples of necessaries. Question 3. Give 4 categories of people who do not have contractual capacity. Ladies and gentlemen, until we meet another time, remember that this particular topic is in your book 2. And once you don't have your book 2, you have to sit down, write something, that make note. By the time you get your book 2, you have already made some notes. So you should make some notes so that you can study. In our next meeting, we will now be picking the various elements one after the other and explain. So our next meeting will be talking about offer. Remember we said for a contract to be valid, there should be agreement. And we said for them to be agreement, there should be offer and acceptance. In the next meeting, we'll be looking at the topic offer. So what is offer? They will look at the rules of offer. We look at the concept of counter offer and so on and so forth. Till we meet again another time. It's bye-bye.